Hello, today I thought I'd do a video on my Freestyle Libre. I've had a lot of questions, a lot of comments and things asking about my general consensus, what I think about it, any problems I've ran into and things. So I thought I'd just compile it all into one video to make it really easy to find and also just to offer perspective to people who are wondering whether to use it or not. So the Freestyle Libre, in England, I don't know if they do it anywhere else, but in England we do have trials for it. They can last for 2 weeks, but in some cases you can get them for 6 months. I had the 6-month trial, but then it all kind of got messed up and I had loads of issues, so then they put me on another one. So I've had it for almost a year now, and it has been great. However, I do think there are a lot of issues that I haven't heard people speak about, and I would love to air my voice on that. The first issue has been spoken about. It's about accuracy, and this is not the most accurate thing in the world. As great as it is and as easy as it is, it can sometimes be, sometimes not 0.5 out, but in some cases it has actually been around 3 millimoles out, which isn't dramatic, but it is a lot, especially considering hypos as well. For example, the other day I felt really low, had all the low symptoms, and I tested my Libre. It said I was 5.6, which is great, cool, carry on with my day. But I assessed my blood and I was 1.9, which is very low and could be a hospital visit. So it's very important to take the Libre with a grain of salt, just because it can be out, and also the hospital do say it runs on a different type of glucose, so it's 15 minutes like behind time. So it's important to keep on top of it, and if you think that there is a reading that you've got from it which might not feel how you're feeling, always test. I can't stress that enough, because it could save you a hospital visit, and as dramatic as that sounds, that's the reality. However, I do want to also not scare you all too much. It is very good, and I'll probably jump from pros to cons as well, just to keep the balance really. So I want to say a pro about it. The biggest thing for me is the estimation for HbA1cs. It does say, I think it's AC1 for Americans. It is an American company, so it does call it that, but it's the same as in HbA1c, and it has brought mine down dramatically, but also it tells you it. So I've never had anything that does that before, which is incredible. I always had to go in, get huge blood tests, and they'd shove Where's Wally books in my face as a child and take all my blood, and it was awful, and then I'd get some really disappointing number. But with the Libre, it gives you an estimation, so you can always see what your average is. You can look at the full scale of your diabetes over 90 days and look at, you know, how high you've been, how low you've been, etc. And that data analysis is just so important and so useful, and it's just helped me manage my diabetes so well and so much better than I did before. But onto a negative, well, it's kind of a positive and a negative. So what happens when you test your blood with the sensor? It gives you the number, and then it gives you an arrow. So the arrow can be pointing up, it can be pointing down, or it can be diagonal, and that can be going diagonally up or diagonally down, or it can be fully stable. So obviously fully stable means you're probably staying about the same place, and then the rest is showing you how dramatically you are falling or rising, and that's a very good thing to have. And I don't want to misconstrue how important that is and how useful that is. It's a very good gift to have, but it has given me the biggest anxiety in the world, and I've not heard anybody speak about that, and it's something that's really affected me. For example, when I'm, I feel low and I'll do a Libre test and it'll say maybe 3.9, which is fine, it's only slightly low, but when I see that arrow that's going directly down, I panic so much and I get worried. I feel my chest tighten, I feel hot, and it's almost like the symptoms of going low, but double, because you've got the anxiety and the low symptoms. So push them two together, it's not pretty and it's not very nice to go through. So yeah, that's been a big thing that has caused me issues. As much as the arrows are very useful, it's caused me a lot of anxiety, and on top of that, because it's so easy, which is great essentially, it's made me almost obsessive over it, to the point where my mum actually had to have a conversation with me about sort of taking a step back from the Libre, because I think one day it said I tested about think it was 120 times in one day, and that is a lot of scans. And if you think about that in relation to finger pricks, because you're supposed to probably scan maybe just a little bit more than you'd finger prick, but not too much. I probably did about 15 finger pricks a day prior to the Libre. To think about doing 120 finger pricks a day is extortionate, and doing 15 finger pricks a day, my fingers were black with the injection holes, so I can't imagine how they would look like with 120 every single day. You can see just by looking at how many I'd normally do with finger pricks in relation to scans, you can see how it's so easy to fall in that sort of unhealthy cycle. And as much as the Libre is very, very good, it did sort of damage my mental health in that way, because it became obsessive, and the fact that the hospital can view it online at any time made me worried about what they were going to think, and I was constantly adding notes on as to why I had a high blood sugar, why I had a low blood sugar, and I was wanting to get perfect, which essentially isn't wrong, because it's good to want to be in good management, but there's a difference between wanting to manage your diabetes well and going over the top where you become ill with it, essentially. So that's a big thing I wanted to highlight. I've not heard I've not heard anybody speak about it, so I wanted to share that just in case anybody else has been feeling out like that out there and maybe feels lonely with it, or also as well just to share that opinion, because I do think it's important, especially if you're going to buy this, that you know everything about it. But to add a little bit of a positive spin on there, this is super, super discreet. It's very, very flat, so you can barely even see it on my arm there. It's really, really flat. It's like having a piece of card on your arm. And it's, it's not like an ugly shape or anything. If you wanted to wear something quite tight, you can see it, but it's not too much of an eyesore. My pump is way, way bigger, so I've not got any issues with how it looks like. However, the placing of it, you can only put it here on your arm. I've seen a few people wear it like here. I've seen a few people wear it on their inside of their arm here. I haven't tried it, mainly just because the doctors haven't approved it. They do say that this is the only place that they are medically approving to have it on. So that is sort of quite annoying, because I don't know if I can trust having it anywhere else if they haven't agreed to it. And I wish I sort of had the freedom to move it around more and still know that I'm getting a more or less accurate reading. Something else as well, you'd think this area wouldn't hurt too much, but I don't know if it's just me, but I still want to share it regardless. Putting in the Libre is quite a scary operation. So what happens is, I don't have any spare to show you, unfortunately, but it's basically, it like shoots it into your arm as you would do a cannula, but you've got to press it fully on, and it just feels a bit intrusive, and the needle, every single time it has hurt me, and I've had it almost a year, so I don't know if it's maybe just me being sensitive or if I'm not doing it right. But yeah, for me it is a little bit sore, and when I first have it on for about an hour it is a bit sore, but I've had it on for about 2 or 3 days and it's absolutely fine now. Also as well, to go with that, it's very, very sticky, which is great because I've never had it fall off, and it's waterproof, etc. When it comes to taking it off though, you are in a bit of a battle. I remember being in uni one day and I had to look away, my friend had to rip it off me because I literally, for the life of me, could not get it off. It was just stuck to my arm, which, yeah, it's a pro and a con, so it's important to take everything that I say as well with a grain of salt. I do want to say, if you have the opportunity to try this out for free, please do, because everybody is different and it affects everybody in different ways. A lot of people have issues with the pump, for example, whereas I absolutely love it. So it's important to get your own opinion on it as well as other people's, because this is a very, very good machine. As I said, it's done wonders for me with my health, and also having that, just being discreet in public, just scanning at the table and things, it's not an issue for people to see, so it's very, very good. But at the same time, I have had a lot of implications with it. There was a time where I went a month without it because I had so many technical issues, because they just kept sending me faulty batches. So it's very important not to be reliant on it, and it's important to know that it's not a cure, it's not the be all end all. When I first was trying to get it, I really thought it was basically a cure for me, and it's not. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's important to manage your expectations because there's only so much we can do, and it is brilliant. However, I don't think I could justify paying for it just because there's so many issues that I've run into, and I do think it should be more used for a sort of handing out of like a beta testing and to test out different products, because I don't think it's established enough to be paid for really. But some people do. I've got friends that do, and each to their own. Not everybody has the same issues. But that's all I wanted to say today. I hope you're all staying safe and you all have a nice day, and yeah, that's it.